So FAQs on rebirth. I'm afraid I can't be mindful of Amitofo at the time of death, and I can't seek rebirth. So a lot of Pure Land practitioners, including nearful practitioners, may have this kind of concern. It's common. So answer to the first question, no worries. Like, why no worries? First of all, to doubt will not help us in any way. Right? It's like in anything you do, you doubt your ability, etc. All this will not help you in any way, but just only adds to our karmic obstacle. Maybe when you first get your driver's license, you go to the exam, you doubt that you will fail, you cannot pass. Like, this doesn't help us in any way. It only adds our anxiety. So it adds to our karmic obstacle. Karmic obstacle means any negative thoughts that obstruct us from realizing the truth or seeing the truth of life. So doubt is the greatest karmic obstacle. The common karmic obstacles are like greed, anger, ignorance, pride, and doubt. So do not doubt at all, first of all. This is regardless of what kind of level of practice you are, how much you know, all this, regardless of any of this, just do not doubt. You should have no doubt about Amitabha Buddha's great infinite compassion, and know that Amitabha Buddha will actually assist us at the time of death and make us be mindful of him at the time of death if we have faith and vow. So if you sincerely believe in Amitabha Buddha, in Shakyamuni Buddha's words, who told us about Amitabha Buddha, and you have the vow, the willingness, you want to go to the Pure Land, then Amitabha Buddha will definitely help you. So the Pure Land method is also called True Power method. Sometimes it's called the Other Power, or in Chinese Pure Land Buddhism, we tend to say the True Power method, meaning that Amitabha Buddha will definitely help us. And also, we have to do the work. The only kind of work we need to do is whether we have faith and vow. We need to be willing to believe in it, and we need to be willing to go. So a metaphor for this is like, say, Amitabha Buddha provides us the lift to go to 100th floor, right? But we also need to be willing to believe in it. Okay, this lift will definitely take me to the top of the floor. Then we go in, and then we need to press the button to go to 100th floor. So we need to have the faith and to have the vow. In that way, the lift will do the work. So Amitabha Buddha will definitely help us at the time of death. And I don't just make this up, right? I'm going to tell you where you can actually find that. So Amitabha Sutra, there are, in Chinese Pure Land Buddhism, 5 Pure Land Sutras. So the 3 primary sutras we all know: Amitabha Sutra, the Infinite Life Sutra, the Visualization Sutra. So Amitabha Buddha Sutra, Amitabha Sutra, or the long title, the Buddha speaks of Amitabha Sutra. So there are 2 translated versions. So first is by Tipitaka Master Kumarajiva. So this one is the most popular version of translation. It's much simpler, and it's the most popular. Every morning when we are in temple, we will recite this version of Amitabha Sutra. So morning and evening for Pure Land practitioners in any Pure Land temples. And even for Chan temples, many temples in China, it's a common morning class or afternoon class is to recite Amitabha Sutra. So there is also another translation by Tipitaka Master Xuanzang. This is very detailed and also highly, highly accurate. So what are the differences between the 2 translated versions was that Master Kumarajiva, also a great Dharma master, who sort of translated in accordance to the Chinese way of grammar. Chinese people really love his version of Amitabha Sutra. He simplified a lot, he cut off a lot of repetitive stuff. Sometimes if you read some of the Mahayana sutras that are directly translated from Sanskrit into Chinese, it can be quite repetitive. After a while, you may not know where you were reading. So Jiva, also knowing like people like things to be simple, but he also delivers the meaning rightly. And he just cut off like some large chunks of that, made the sutra really simple. And another one is by Tibetan master Xuanzang. So Xuanzang actually, as a Chinese Dharma master who went all the way to India and retrieved many sutras from India to China. And his style of translation is highly accurate in that he translated directly, line by line, from the Sanskrit into Chinese. So he didn't cut up anything. He just literally translated word by word, line by line, from the Sanskrit into Chinese. So nowadays we use the Kumarajiva's version, but it's also important not to ignore Master Xuanzang's version. And this lies in what I want to tell you tonight. So in Kumarajiva's version, there's one paragraph, very, very important. Shariputra, if there is a good man or good woman who hears the name Amitabha and holds to it, whether for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, or 7 days, single-hearted without confusion, at the time of near death, Amitabha Buddha and many other sages will appear before this person at the time of death. If this person's heart is not deluded, then he will be reborn in Amitabha Buddha's land of ultimate bliss. Okay, so single-hearted without confusion, this scares a lot of people. Right? People think, oh, this is going to be so difficult. Like at the time of death, when we are facing death, how can we be single-hearted without confusion? We may all be so freaked out, etc. But don't worry, single-hearted is not a high standard. At least you have a general primary focus on Amituofo at the time of death. Then you will see Amitabha Buddha. Even before death, before your last breath, you will definitely see Amitabha Buddha. When we talk about rebirth in Chinese Pure Land Buddhism, we mean at the time of death, before death. We don't mean after death, in the battle period. That's another lesson. That's what maybe the Tibetan Book of Death, Living and Dying, talks about. But in Chinese Pure Land Buddhism, we talk about seeking rebirth before death, before your last breath. What's important on Master Xuanzang's version? So this really freaked out a lot of people because people think, oh, it's going to be so difficult for me to, nianfo single-hearted without confusion at the time of death. But don't worry. Master Xuanzang's version had a few words. They were not added. They were actually in the original Sanskrit sutra. But Master Kumarajiva make it more simpler to suit more people. But Master Xuanzang, after seeing that translation, he decided he will also do another version. And he just translate literally word by word from Sanskrit into Chinese. And so there are 8 key words in Chinese that can really set our mind at peace. So other things are quite similar, almost the same. And then he also says, Amitabha Buddha will compassionately protect this person and make his heart or mind unconfused or not in disorder. So in Chinese, 慈悲加佑令心不乱. So Amitabha Buddha will actually help us. I remember some of the rebirth cases I shared, like for instance, Chen Liping's rebirth case. He also had concerns, he was worried, and also some kind of karmic obstacle played up at the time of his death. But he still nianfo, and then he saw Amitabha Buddha, I think 3 days beforehand or something like that, or the day before. We had quite a few rebirth cases like that. And after they saw Amitabha Buddha, they saw the light of Amitabha Buddha, they saw Amitabha Buddha came to them and tell them when he will come to deliver them. So the Buddha will actually compassionately protect the person. And then after that, you will definitely not be confused. So you will be greatly assisted by Amitabha Buddha at the time of death to make your mind not in disorder, to make your mind in order. You will definitely be mindful of Amitabha Buddha. Trust in Amitabha Buddha's infinite compassion. If you have faith and vow, Amitabha Buddha will definitely assist you. So remember 9 grades of rebirth. for those who seek rebirth in the lowest level of the lowest grade, at the time of death, if they take the change of heart. So remember, those in the lowest grade are all those who commit really bad deeds, evil deeds, worst evil deeds that one could ever imagine on earth. So, however, if those people, they're willing to take the change of heart, they're willing to repent in their heart, and kneel for with a sincere heart, even for 10 recitations, they can still go to the Pure Land. So seeking rebirth to the Pure Land is actually simple, as long as we have deep faith and vow. Master Shanda also talked about it a lot in his commentary on the Visualization Sutra. And also the nice patriarch OE also talk about it on the commentary on Amitabha Sutra. So our faith and vow determines whether we can go or not. We can seek rebirth or not. And our level of practice determines our grade of rebirth. So if you have good practice, your Nianfo is very focused, concentrated, your rebirth will be really easy, and you will be on a higher grade of rebirth. So if you are just at the time of death, 10 recitations, you've never heard of this Dharma, and maybe you commit many evil deeds in your life, then lowest grade of rebirth. But regardless, anyway, still rebirth. If we can go to the Pure Land, any grade is good, really. Any grade I would go. Of course, we will encourage people to practice to attain a higher grade of rebirth and also to make our life happy in the here and now. Right? The Pure Land Dharma is not only about what happened after death or at the time of death, but also in the here and now. We want to stay calm and happy. Then we kneel for now. And also, the more we practice, we will accumulate more merit, and it will also help towards our grade of rebirth to the Pure Land. So faith, vow, and practice, but most importantly, faith and vow determines whether we can go or not, and our level of practice determines our grade of rebirth. So do not forget that. There are some people who may have very good practice, but if they don't have faith and vow, they don't believe in Amitabha Buddha, they don't want to go to the Pure Land, then they cannot go. Without Amitabha Buddha's help, even for someone who achieves Nianfo Samadhi, if he does not have faith and vow, or maybe he only has faith, does not have vow, does not want to go, then Amitabha Buddha will not force them. If you don't believe in Amitabha Buddha, you don't want to go to the Pure Land, Amitabha Buddha will not force you, even if you achieve Nianfo Samadhi. So faith and vow and practice, 3 provisions. Faith and vow are actually most important, faith. And no faith, no vow, no practice.